Alfred Naro.
There comes a time in a person's life where they often have to face the truth. And Mr. Speaker, I can say, and I've also too got a witness there, Mrs. Sue Moroney, when there were actions in this House where I was not proud of. And at that time, I took the courage of my convictions. I went up to see the person, and Ms. Sue Moroney will know who that is. I won't name who they were, but I apologised. I apologised because I was wrong. I was wrong in my actions. I was wrong because I took the privilege of the House in a situation where I shouldn't have. So, Mr. Speaker, when I stand up here in this House and I say that people should be held to account, then I do mean it, and I back it up by my actions. When I believe the fact is that Mr. Phil Twyford should apologise. He should say sorry, because what he did is took the privilege of the House, he took a leadership position, and he turned around and he used politicking as a way of making a point. Mr. Speaker, I want to talk about what was, I think, is called the ing factor. Okay, we're talking about the whole aspect of Chinese and Asian sounding names. It was called the ing factor. And so this is what he did. He went searching. He went searching for evidence that would hopefully put him in a position where he could make a political statement. And in his searching, he thought that he felt that he found the answer. And what do we call it? We call it blaming. So what did he do? He began to blame what he thought was a statistic that over 40% of Chinese who were going to buying houses were to blame for the issues of the Auckland affordability housing crisis. That's what he did, Mr. Speaker. That's what he did. How do we know that? Because Keith Ng, who called himself Kiwis, turned around and wrote an article, "Why are you blaming us? We as Chinese are not foreigners. We have been here for many years," but instead he went along with the line of blaming. That's what he did, Mr. Speaker. And what it led to, Mr. Speaker? It led to shaming. It led to shaming. So how does shaming become real inside the Labour Party? Well, when you go to the Daily Blog, you don't often hear a lot of stuff that's supportive of where the government's at, but every now and then you get a little gem. And here's where shaming makes a difference for the inside of the Labour Party. Young Labour wrote this. This was predictable. Oh dear, late last week, Labour housing spokesperson Phil Twyford caused outrage and upset. This was predictably pretty bad and justifiably backfired hard on Labour. It's not that we don't believe that we have a problem. It's just that a list of Chinese-sounding surnames doesn't prove anything, and here's the punchline, except the laziness of the Labour's Parliamentary Research Unit. Mr. Speaker, that's what happens when you go searching, blaming, and in the end it becomes shaming. Mr. Speaker, if you've got integrity, even in this House, like I said, I'll back it up. I've done it. Then how about Mr. Phil Twyford stand up and apologise? But Mr. Speaker, in the short amount of time I have, I want to talk about the ing factor. It's called the doing. What are we doing as a government? I could talk about blaming and shaming and all sorts of things, but what are we doing? If we're talking about housing, let's talk about the 3,000 places around emergency housing, and that's right, and for Māori, what you call under whānau ora, and also too, I want to acknowledge the Honourable Turi Ora Flavel and what he's been putting forward in regards to meeting the needs for Māori in housing. I can't know what the statistics are, I know that he will know what they are, but this government is doing the things that matter most. What are we doing? Emergency housing, $41.1 million over 4 years to making a difference. 3,000 places every single year. Yes, that's right. The other side can talk about people in houses, people in cars, people in caravans, but guess what? What are you doing? Absolutely nothing. This government is doing the difference. Even if you are in opposition, that is the laziest, lame excuse I've ever heard. That member should know. Even if you're in opposition, this is what you can do. You can listen to the people. You can go out, you can advocate to Housing New Zealand. You can make a difference, Mrs. King, even when you are in opposition. Let's talk about the affordability in housing. The Kiwi Saver Home Start program that was launched in April at Henderson Baptist Church in West Auckland, in Te Atatu. Nearly 12,000 New Zealanders have been helped into their first home, spread right throughout the country. Mr. Speaker, that truly is making a difference. It's projected for the $435 million this government is putting through, 90,000 Kiwis will have first home over the next 5 years. Mr. Speaker, this is not the party that's about blaming or even shaming. And Mr. Speaker, I'll put it again as I started. Here's what it is. That if there's a conviction, if the courage of your convictions, then stand up and apologise. I've had to do it. How about Mr. Phil Twyford do it to the Chinese community? They deserve it.